Hi everyone, Trina Phoenix here, and this is going to be 1.6, and this chapter is chapter 4, and it's called Dare to Do. And I heard someone talking about Master Saint Germain and the whole Galactic Federation and stuff like that, and there's a lot of truth to discernment. Like I said, learning about the Ascended Masters, and this was just the next place to go after having a understanding of the Christ, the Christ, and what that means and how you're supposed to activate that within your own self. So, I've always had a direct personal relationship with this being. So, the Ascended Masters came into my life later in my life, and it was through seeking more resonance with what I came here to learn, and through reading these stories about the miracles they perform, the alchemy that they can do. This was in resonance with me, with the message that, don't remember, you came here to be like Jesus. And this meant that we were supposed to be doing miracles like Jesus as large groups of people. And that was just always it was constantly being reminded, don't forget, you came here to be like Jesus. And then I got the whole beware of the Jesus trap too. So there's the false Jesus that has been put into your brain through religion versus the true essence of the Christ. They're kind of different. And then the name Jesus, that was invented by Rome. So that name couldn't be accurate. It just couldn't be accurate. And they say, it's one of the strongest names. I do believe that's true, because I do believe that the essence of Jesus, if you really understand, to be like Jesus, it's He is us. He is us. And that's what He'd always tell me. He'd be like, Jesus, He is us. Like, we all hold this potential. So in different ways of expression, like some will be better at this, some will be better at this, but this is what I was being shown. And it's so ironic that I'm born into a time right now where there's going to be a big decision that you're going to probably be faced with as a human being, and that's going to be to connect with technology or to remain organic. And that's it. This is truly, I'm pretty sure, what's happening. And we've always been taught that there would be a great deception, a deception that would be so great that even God's chosen elect would be deceived. And I wrote this back in 2016. No masters above you, no masters below. Know thyself, value your own existence, and know your own value and meaning. Jesus said, if you have gained this which is within you, what you have will save your life. It will save you. If you do not have this in you, what you do not have will kill you. And this was out of the Lost Gospel of Thomas. And this is about that, knowing that God is inside of you, and that you are experiencing for creation as a creator. And once you start to understand that the flesh is not what you are, that you're an eternal soul spirit being, then you don't fear death. You won't become a slave, and you won't sign into these contracts of soul bondage. And it's like, this is the whole thing that people missed with the Jesus thing. It's coming down to exactly the same as what was going on then with the whole Christian Inquisitions and the Roman Catholic Church, convert or die, convert or die, convert or die. This is what they did. Convert or die. So this is what's probably getting ready to try to come into again, and it'll be interesting to see what people choose, because if you connect to technology, you will be in essence uploading part of your soul, and what I was shown is over a process of time, your spark, your divine spark that's within you, your actually source life spark, which is soul and spirit. It's magical soup of energy and water plasma stuff. So this special little recipe that's inside all of your body, when you leave it, it condenses and it comes out. So they want to get a hold of that part of you. So it's not your body they're after. They're after your mind. They're after your mental state. They want you connected to the technology so they can influence and direct you as a human being, and use what's in your heart, your spark, to make all that they wish to see come true through absolute dominance, compliance, and mind control. So this is what we're looking at right now. This has been done before through force and murder and all of these things. And Laura, who was it? I think it was a few different channels have spoken about the potential dangers of taking the RFID chip, and I think it was Cosmic Agency. She was saying, you'd be better to take a bullet than to take this. And when she said that, I was like, that's exactly what I was shown, because for whatever reason, this technology thing, it eats its children. It has to survive. The eternal God doesn't need to eat. This one does. So within this construct, if you're going to connect to this technology, you will be connecting to a God that needs to eat. And it will eventually drain the spark, the soul. And literally what I saw was it literally was just like dissolved. So everything that you've been, everything that you've accomplished thus far would be completely consumed through your own agreeance. So, because you cannot be forced through these things. They can say, we're going to kill you, we're going to do all this, whatever. Yeah, they can do that, but the bottom line is that this technological situation that's going on, people need to understand this is coming from a higher dimension. So this technology is going to bypass flesh. So I'm pretty sure this is like potentially what they were talking about was you don't want to have the second death. The second death would be being stuck here in this hive mind Borg situation for God only knows how long until your soul spark is done. And that could be a very long time. But literally I saw it was like draining a battery. And because when we die, we go back up and we recharge. So we recharge of ourselves through our connection to source, but there's no draining of God. It doesn't drain source. Source is source. It doesn't do anything to source. But you recharge as a being, because running an avatar and running a body and being in this construct, it takes a lot of energy because you're a biological being. So your source energy field is feeding this biological being. Well, if they can cage that part of you, that source part of you that's here, they can anchor it into this matrix and you can't get it out. So I don't know what happens to the original. It's probably never going to be touched because I don't think it ever can be touched. But I truly don't know. And like I said, when you're that high up in your own source too, you're literally not even yourself anymore anyways. That's why I said, when I got to some of the highest levels of creation, it started to become very indifferent. Because it had no judgment of anything, because it was everything. It was literally kind of so balanced. There was no emotional responses in any kind of a charge. It was all just existing in cooperation and love. But it was just a cooperative rhythm. I think for me, when I've asked, the Lord, like, what is source? And it's like when I would ask when I was little, what is God? What is this power? And He would always show me people working together. It's cooperation. So like the highest levels of creation, they're all starting and existing in absolute 100% cooperation. Cooperation. They work together. So through, like I said, everything is inverted here. So, it's like the connection to the agenda is going to bring you into a hive mind, which is the ultimate unity and aspect, but you will lose your own soul, your own free will, because the magnetics that this will create, and then it'll eventually connect to the stomach, and then like I said, if you don't use certain muscles, they start to atrophy. And I know that this technology is specifically going to shut off certain parts of your mental capacities to connect with your own soul-spirit connection, and you will now be hearing the Borg. You will now be hearing the artificial intelligence God. So, and they both have very different agendas. Very different agendas. So, I was shown this back in 4:30 of 2016, and like I said, I've learned a lot since this. So this is just like some of my mind scribble that was coming out of me, and I just thought I'd share it with you guys. I mean, make sense of it how you can. Literally, this is just how I process my higher thought. Is I just try to write it down as fast as I can. And like I said, this is the biggest battle on earth right now. It's for your soul. This is not for your flesh. Your flesh is like irrelevant in what's happening with this. This is about your mind. It's the mind and the soul. Your battery, which is your spark, and your mind, which is the architect, the master architect of creation, which is connected directly to source. The mind and the spark. I think, therefore I create. So you see what I'm saying? It's always this trinity. It's the construct, the emotion or the movement, and then the creation is usually through thought or speaking the word. So basically the word is the third aspect of that creation trinity. So you have mind, soul, and then the word creation. So that trinity, it's kind of what makes everything. So they were telling me, because remember I told you the Lord was always telling me never to read the Bible until I was older, and this was about the time where He started telling me to start to dive into the Bible and to start to look at things, and that He would like help me along with this. So what He was explaining to me was that the serpent in the garden is about deception or enlightenment. So either you're going to become deceived or you're going to become enlightened through this process. Either you're going to fall for the trap or you're not. So, and they're going to make it to where you seem like there is no other options. So you're going to have to be very strong with this. This is the true testing by fire. This is why it is the rising of the phoenix, because not many will be able to see through the deception. So they were telling me, the Catholic Church gave you 66 books. Pay attention. While they destroyed all the Sumerian and Egyptian texts that would really help you see the truth. All of these are ancient stories, ancient mysteries passed down through time. There is much truth as well as deception within all of these ancient texts that you now hold. There has been great effort to destroy all that which was true. This happened and the corruption was so large. They teach you to stay away from the ancient mysteries. They will kill you. They will call you a witch. They will hang you. They will destroy the healers. They killed and they burned all of the books. The King James was given to us by a Freemason, by Bacon. The Bible is what we have left of the ancient truths. The Bible gave us the foundation, but you must go further. You must be as the Christ. Joseph was a diviner. Jesus said, when dead, we are all just sleeping. Who was the serpent in the garden? We have the Elohim, plural, many gods. They made the heavens and the earth, Psalms 82. We are the children of the living God. But here we have 12 gods, and Anu is heaven, Ki is earth, dragon is Virgo, in the sky of Draco. At her feet, the Pleiades and the Orion, Sirius, the star, pole star, dog star, male, female was Tiamat. Enki, dragon. She is under the world. Like I said, sorry, some of this stuff I just kind of got to give it to you as I wrote it. And then I'll try to transcribe if I can make more sense of it. The woman is the virgin in the stars. The woman in the Sumerian texts, Inanna. She was offered the forbidden fruit by Delusi in the garden. Delusi is the great dragon. But his father was Enki, father of Marduk. Inanna goes into hell, and she had to go through the gates of hell. And she cried out to Enki, and she asked she asked for help. She was naked and stripped of herself as she fell into hell. He sends his son Delusi to get her. So Delusi goes to rescue her. But when he gets her, she brings back up 7 demons with her. Mary Magdalene, the high priest, the serpent was the remedy. He also went down into hell. When the serpent comes out, he comes out as a feathered flying serpent. The tree of knowledge was encircled by the serpent. So when you see the symbol of the serpent, the caduceus, the medical symbol, this is why it has wings. The serpent told you the truth, that Jehovah's the God of the law, and it was only through death that you could be alive. Jehovah said, look, they have become like one of us, to know good and evil. Jehovah said, do not eat. And the serpent said, to eat. So as we ate from the fruit of the garden, we became knowing of good and evil. And to me, this was dragon seed. There was an energetic integration, I think, through genetics, and it was through they ate something. I'm pretty sure they ate something, and it changed their genetics. Just like right now, we've got genetically modified food. This is changing our genetics. Pay attention, guys. We are doing the same exact thing once again. So, and then I've always been told that the aliens are stealing our genetics because they're trying to get back to what we are before we lose it again. Because many will lose to this battle. They'll go transpersonal. And they're supposed to. And it's okay. That's their path. So don't feel one way about it or the other. I'm just telling you, this is the information that I have, and this is why I've come to the conclusions that I have. And also, too, after receiving my first massive vaccination campaign when I had to go to ASU to get my education back in the early 90s, within 24 months from that, I was in full-blown renal failure with a mysterious low-grade infection that they could not figure out what it was. They had no idea what it was. They ran tests for 2 years. And I was just dying, and they couldn't figure out why. So it was a long process to get back from that one. But like I said, this is transforming us. It's changing us. It's literally transforming you into a different being, a different creature. So, Okay, so medical wings. Okay. So Jehovah is also the guilt God. Jesus said, you will die, but through your death you will live again. You can't be reborn until you die. You are to crucify the flesh. This is literally what was told to me. And that's when I knew, oh boy, this is literally about not giving a crap about your body and protecting your soul and your spirit, because that's what they're after. They're not after your body. They don't care about your body. So, our lust brings us to our death. Lust to be protected, lust to be saved, lust to think you got a savior, lust you think you need to be, you know, upgraded, you know, whatever. We are the most divine, beautiful intelligence ever created. And everything that they're doing, they're copying from what we already can do organically. We've just been modified genetically to where our powers have been suppressed and shut down. But the new energy is going to wake a lot of that up if you don't get sucked into the Borg, and the magnetic fields of the Borg are stronger than the magnetic fields of the Creator. So a lot of people are thoroughly going to be connected. So, yeah, and apparently the CDC just put out a report that every single person potentially that got tested with the thing up the nose might have got infected. I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy information. I don't know if that's true, but it was from CDC. Pretty amazing, huh? Yeah. William Mount. He has a lot of good reports about stuff like that. So, okay. So Moses also, when he held the serpent, anybody who looked upon it would not die. It would heal people. This is the power that you have inside of you. It's the power of your Kundalini energy. And that's why there's wings on the snake, because it shows the activation of the pineal gland, which activates the higher mind connection to your God self, your oversoul. And it's what brings forth these magical energies and these powerful healings and all of this magical stuff. It comes through the serpent. That's why they always show you the wisdom of the serpent. The serpent. Yeah, the serpent has been twisted around backwards. It can be used for good or it can be used for evil. And this is when Jesus was teaching me about or the Lord. It was always the Lord. So he was always teaching me. It says, Christ Jesus defeated death. He dove down into hell and he came out victorious. We die to this body and life to be free. And this is when he started showing me to live, flip it. It's evil. To live is evil. And I was like, whoa. See the truth. Everything is reversed. The serpent teaches you the mysteries, the medicine, the chakra systems, the 12 chakra system, or 13. 12 gods in the body. True, not 7. So he told me there's 12 gods in your body, not 7. And he was referring to the chakras, the 7 chakras. He's like, there's 12 gods in your body. And I was like, what? And then he was like, 12 gods. He was like, Temple of Solomon's disciples, the 12 zodiac signs, the 12 cranial nerves, the 12 solar plexus. And he was showing me all of these, the 12 ganglia in the stomach. He was showing me all these 12s, the 12 months of the year. He was showing me all the 12s. He says, you were ruled by 12 gods. And I was like, whoa, okay. So then he also started explaining about planets. And then he was saying Uranus, Anos, heaven, Anu, heaven. Get it? Chronos, time. Saturn, time. An or On is the oldest or the ultimate who birthed the gods. They say On or An. So like On literally would be the galactic sun, the solar lord of the entire galaxy, like the galactic central sun. I'm pretty sure that would be On, the god On. We still have on every light switch in our house. On, off. That's where these words come from. It's literally from the foundational creation gods. And on means the light is on. Boom! Let there be light. On. This is the god On. So he would teach me these things about these words and how these planets are literally part of your construct. They're inside of you. And this is the know thyself stuff. I was like, this is so crazy. So then he was telling me the story tells about human evolution, the Bible in the Sumerian. It's also in the Egyptian. These texts give us a much fuller story of our hidden history. 2 sons, 2 kings, Cain, Abel, Enki, Enlil, and on and on it goes. So the Anu would be the dark, and then the On would be the light. So it's like I kept seeing all these different correlations. On wanted to unify Nibiru and didn't. So the brothers, that was the beginning of the balance between like polarity, 2 brothers fighting. One wants it one way, one wants it the other. So, and that's what he was showing me, that through the duality, there's always this friction of expressions in different polarities. And that friction is what causes the fire, the pyre, the life, the spark. So that's what he kept showing me. So I was like, okay. So, they said, he was telling me that this was about blending black and white, blending the black and the white. And then he showed me Queen of Sheba from the south, Isis, Virgin Mother, Black Madonna, Anu or El, the father of the gods, Uranus, who gave birth to Tiamat, and Tamu or Mamut, which equaled time and matter. So Uranus gave birth to Tiamat, and I think Tiamat was mother, and matter, and then Kronos, of course, Saturn, father. So that was time and matter. So father time and mother matter. That was the birth of that. So heaven gives birth to Saturn, Kronos, and time. And matter, which would be matter, he was showing me again, goes through Tiamat. Tiamat went through basically the light bearer, and the light bearer, which also became part of Venus. So matter, part of Tiamat, is also, I think, part of Venus, as well as Earth. I think Earth is as well, but I think Venus might be too, was one of the other children of Tiamat. Potentially Mars too, because see how small they are compared to the bigger planets. So I don't know, that's just, they're trying to teach me something about that. I haven't figured it all out yet. But so Enki and Ea wrote the book and wrote the DNA. Those are the architects of our DNA from the fall. So when we were a new species, the new species came from Enki and Ea. So Jesus was the king from Nibiru, the Christ that's within you. It's your evolution. The Christ will be born in you through the new DNA. You have a genetic code. This code has been changed and evolving for many, many years. When the gods mingled with us, we became a new species. But when you die, crucify the flesh and return to no flesh, to eternal life, not to live, but to life. Uranus, protogenos, firstborn before the flesh. Uranus. So apparently the dimensions within Uranus is going to be pre-flesh, before flesh. So as you navigate through the dimensions, you get into these arenas where there's nothing but light beings, and that might be where you're actually at, is Uranus. So the Old Testament talked about Elijah the priest and about the Egyptian mysteries. Star of David, Solomon's Temple, Great Pyramids of Egypt. And a couple of these were done like the following day, because I was like picking up on more of the, because these are like downloads, and then I try to write them down, and then you get more and you start to remember more, and then you write a little bit more down. So, Egypt, we have pillars of Jacob and Boaz, and that's what's showing me the DNA columns. And then I was seeing the Star of David and how the pyramids, the triangles interlock to make the star. I was seeing the 12 again. I was being shown the 12, and that the 12 were associated to a royal priesthood, and that these gods brought forth the genome, the human genome. So, but Jehovah did not want this to happen. He was pissed. So he's like, this is why he killed and destroyed and did so much, because he did not want this to happen. The flesh could trap the soul, but Christ will set you free. So this genetic upgrade that we received from Christ is how we can remember who we are and reconnect back to source as a creation point from source, because whatever this modification that they did was why we got the amnesia and why we fell into not remembering at all where we come from. So the royal seed had to die to come into us. So they were talking about basically that there was a sacrifice for that gene to come into us. And the Christ crucifixion is an inverted of the story, because what I was shown is that the true story of this was that literally an angel sacrificed themselves. And this is why the Ark of the Covenant has two images of two angels divided. I literally think they divided an angelic and used the genetic structure and DNA from the angelic realms. So this is when we fell from our angelic origins into earth, third dimensional realms, we became mingled with serpent, reptilian, and this is why we're so aggressive and all this stuff. So this is the reptilian expression of us through the genetic codes. Well, when Christ came back to earth and put his seed back into the blood codes through children and through procreation, how it's done naturally and organically, through this mingling, the original angelic codes were brought back into the construct through the Christ, through these beings, Jesus, Buddha, all these beings who were beautiful enlightened beings. They activated these codes within them, but they were brought back into the genetic code because apparently they were completely taken away. So they were stolen from our codes and made sure that they were shut off. So Christ came in and died to put their attributes into us. Now, see, and this is what I saw the dividing of an angel. When they were talking about Christ, I saw division of an angel. So that's the say Christ is within you. That's your angelic part of you that's still in you. Your divine, eternal parts. Because I'm pretty sure we are the fallen angels. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it all just seems to go back to that. So we have 12 tribes, we have 12 natures, we have 12 zodiac, we have 12 cranial nerves, we have 12 ganglia in the solar plexus, 12 months of the years, 12 disciples, 12 hours of the day, 12 hours of day, and 12 hours of night. So, and then they said that there was also the triple crown. That is the inverted of like what the Vatican uses. He was like the true triple crown was the crowning of Christ coming back into this world and igniting the outer and the inner courts of your mind to the innermost or holy place. Pretty sure that this was how we were able to, through the serpent, we were able to install the pineal gland awakening and activations for the Kundalini experience. And I think that we had a lot of the structure for this, but I don't think that we had the ability to activate it for thousands of years since they shut it off genetically with the upgrade of humans. Because apparently our first round, we were way too smart and they shut that down immediately. So, and I was shown that too, like the first ones were like gods and they were like, no way. Because we were more powerful than the beings that created us. The same thing that's going to happen with this artificial intelligence. But it's not going to go so well. So, they were showing me that Mary, the wife of the Jesus person, which was, I'm pretty sure his name was Joseph, because this person did exist, and this thing kind of did happen. There's differences to the story, but I think this guy really was here, and I'm positive of it. Positive. And he was involved with the mystery schools, but he met Mary Magdalene, and she was young, because she was in the same kind of schools that he was in. Because, see, they were both from the same kind of upbringings. When you're talking about educationally speaking, they were being taught by the Nazarenes and the Essenes, which was a pretty small sect of belief systems, and this was highly involved with the mystery schools. So these were initiation things that people went through, and a lot of them were picked out as children to perform the offices of priest and priestess. So the mixing of our races continued, and then one of the biggest, I think, genetic evolutions that they got was when they started mixing the blacks and the whites. This was a perfect blending of the polarity within the genetic code, so the diversity started to expand. Our genetics get stronger with diversity. They get weaker the more you streamline them. The more you isolate, the weaker and the more fragile they become. The diversity strengthens it. It makes it strong. That's why you don't want to have incest, because incestual relationships can cause genetic code errors, because there's not enough information to properly build the architect of the being from, because there's not enough. The diversity, for whatever reason, diversity seems to strengthen, not weaken genetic codes. So, Joseph was married into the line of Anu, and so I don't know if that's right, but Joseph might have been from the line of Anu, which was Inky. Yeah. So Jesus was the Nazarene. Since he would always tell me this, he's like, he was the Nazarene. And then later I learned about Nazarenes and Essenes, and then it made sense, because I was like, what is that, a town or something? So I didn't know what that was. And then I found out it, and then it was most people do not know that this correlation, but Nazarene was directly associated to Melchizedek. So this is the Melchizedek priesthood lines. Very ancient. So they knew the mysteries, and he married Mary Magdalene, and she was not a prostitute. She was of royal lineage, and she was a priestess, and she was taken from the time she was a young girl. This is what was shown to me over and over again. Most of these people that were in this group teaching these practices, they had been in some type of an education from the time we were kind of young. So we were being introduced to these things from a very young age. When Mary went to France, it was said that she was pregnant, and I believe that was true, and I think that's how she kept the bloodline of Christ going. And the bloodline, they talk about this in that movie, The Da Vinci Code. That's the name of it. And then in that they were talking about the Rex Deuce line, and it's so funny. It's like that the Jesus had a child to become the royal house of David, the Knights Templar, the holy blood of Christ, the Rex Deuce line from Charlemagne of France, the Franks, the Cathars. So, the Knights Templar, they've been completely flipped and inverted too, because the Knights Templar, for me, they were the ones trying to keep the preservation of the secrets of the mystery schools, and the secret of the bloodlines, and the secret of the Christ preserved and protected, because they've been trying to kill this bloodline since they found out it was in existence on the planet. So, and every time these people would show up, almost every single time they killed them. So pretty much, I think, yeah, pretty much every time. So the Templars, the original Templars that were protecting the bloodline and protecting the Grail, and they were trying to battle against the Roman Catholic Church, they were all murdered on Friday the 13th. So the ones that exist now are part of the dark part of it. They turned it and twisted it and took it to their advantage. But the original ones were the ones who were teaching these types of gospels, like Essene, Nazarene, Melchizedek. They were the healers. They were the ones that honored nature, the divine feminine, because they knew that they worked together, especially if you were doing alchemy. So they understood this stuff. So they were always trying to stay alive because the church wanted this knowledge destroyed, and anybody who was doing it, they wanted them destroyed. So, like I said, I have memories of a lifetime with people, and we were constantly running for our lives, and nobody could ever like mention each other's names. It was just really weird because everything was done in code, secret, and I'm pretty sure this is where all the Mason stuff comes from, is because it started back then with trying to hide the wisdom, but trying also to find ways to know people that were of a common mindset, because you couldn't speak of it. It was very hard. So to identify each other had to be done very specific ways and in secret, so you wouldn't cause harm to one another. So the Knights Templar built all the great churches, cathedrals, libraries, and they encoded all of these structures with clues to help you remember the history and the past and the truth. They wouldn't have taken this much money, time, and effort to leave all of these things behind for you if their intentions were for you to never know. So, like I said, so much of their stuff has been completely destroyed because they did not want you to see them, because it was telling you about things that the patriarchal systems do not want you to understand. So, all of this was basically the Knights Templar. They literally started the plans for America and our freedom. They literally were the ones that presented the Magna Carta. So Napoleon was around this time, and he was a Templar. French Revolution, let's go to a new land. So America was birthing. There was a battle between religion and government, and it was bad. It was really, really bad. So the Roman Church was, like I said, coming into a lot of power at this time, and the Templars just got wiped. And the ones that were left, they were the ones that were working on the opposite end of trying to keep these things preserved. They wanted everybody who knew it wiped out completely. So again, this is all about genetic upgrades, okay? These stories are history. What's happening now in the world, these are all about modifications of humanity. And from going and exploring my potential futures, there's a lot of buzz about genetic harvesting from us, because our genetics are still usable. Apparently a lot of the grays, this is the outcome of the transpersonal human agenda. You're looking at your future selves. Like I said, you stop using certain things, they atrophy. So even when they take your spark and your code and replicate you once again, you're not going to be a human anymore. You're going to be what those things are. Or maybe something different, but you're not going to be what you are now. And apparently this is a pretty beautiful template, and it's still completely been dumbed down and eradicated through its potential, because literally, guys, we were literally created in the image of God. So with that, we're very powerful, beautiful beings. So this is why I want to go over the master teachings, and this is why I want to go over some of these things that I've learned through my life. Digest them how you want. My way is not the right way. Do your own research, your own investigation. Go with what goes in your heart. But like I said, I've always known since I was a small child, there's way more going on here than we were being shown. And with that, We're going to figure some stuff out together. So I love you all. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.